years ago, after Gavin Newsom went and became lieutenant governor, and racked up a bill around like 70 grand. So started doing fundraisers, also with an eye towards a Secretary of State campaign for this year, in the off year, the 2014 election. So at these fundraisers, I suspect, I don't know if I was able to glean this from the articles or whatever, but he had ties to a lot of some of the less savory San Francisco organized crime community. But honestly, as a political figure, if you're supposed to be out in the community and getting to know people, you're going to end up at I don't know, whatever. I'm sure that's not uncommon, unfortunately. But you combine sort of his ties with his debt, the FBI thought it might be a good idea to send some agents to a fundraiser and let them write some checks. So, there were things like allegedly coercing fundraiser attendees to maybe give a little bit more than you're allowed to give, which is I think the maximum in California, at least for the type of races that he's in, is $500. Sort of hey buddy, what do you put an extra zero on that for me? Federal agent says, okay. So as they start to get him on these his campaign finance charges, they sort of widen their scope of their investigation to the point where they had somebody who was posing as a member of an organized crime community approach Li Linyi, allegedly, and say, hey, look, we have some friends who are from Russia who are trying to get these weapons through the port of New Jersey, I believe, to I think the Philippines. He needs to fucking take a geography class, first off. And he's like, is there anything you can do about this? And he said, well, let me talk, who are these people and what are they involved in? And he's like, this guy does this. Here's the weapons trafficker. He's a fucking pro, arms dealer. He's got a fucking resume or whatever. Here's his LinkedIn. Apparently Li Linyi said, yeah, I can absolutely help you get these weapons through the port of New Jersey. I'll call a guy who knows a guy. I have a friend who can do this thing and whatever. You don't gotta go through this thing and it'll get done. So these allegations just keep stacking up to the point where they felt they had a case against Leland and also other members of the San Francisco Chinatown organized crime community, not least of which this man, God, I can't fucking remember his name.
But he goes by
Shrimp Boy.
Oh, good.
I think it's Frank Shrimp Boy Chow.
Oh, good.
The first name could be something else, but I remember it being something Shrimp Boy Chow. If you should get to the B in Shrimp Boy in Google, and it should tell you.
Raymond Shrimp Boy Chow.
Raymond Shrimp Boy Chow, former Chinese mob gangster, now chairman of the San Francisco Freemasons, amongst other things. Community
career change.
Yeah. I went on a fucking tear reading about this. I was having a real time. I'm glad I was able to recount any of it.
That's pretty fascinating.
So, gosh, I bet he really enjoys playing GTA 5. I bet he fucking is super good at it.
I think I enjoyed. There was one of the kind of just local SF blogs, the SFist, was which is part of some network. I
the
noticed
IST network.
The
I think it is.
People, Gothamist, etc. They. I noticed popped up on Twitter the other day because I follow this blog, how they noticed this 2011 interview conducted by SF Weekly, which is a local weekly newspaper here, and with Rose Pack, who is she's an
Oakland community organizer.
No, she's San Francisco. She's Chinatown based. She's a really well known kind of Chinatown activist in San Francisco.
She's a political heavy hitter here in San Francisco.
She is. She's tied into local politics here, and she. Did an interview with the SF Weekly 3 years ago, 2011, and she was talking about trying to, one of the things she tries to do is help promote Chinese American politicians who are trying to make a name for themselves in San Francisco, and so the paper was saying okay, that's one of your priorities, right? Helping Chinese American politicians, and she's yeah, but I mean good ones, right? And they're well, what about Leland Yee? He's a Chinese American politician. Rose Pack responds, Leland Yee is one of the most morally corrupt politicians I've ever encountered in 40 years. From the first day he stepped in as school board member, lying to get his children to the preferred assigned school using a phony address, selling his services to Chinese American parents who would cut an arm or a leg to get their kid into the right schools. He did all that. I don't think he stood for anything decent in our community except to come in and take money and then claim to be the first Asian this and the Asian that, but he doesn't impress me. He doesn't stand for anything except for corruption and bribery.
And arms dealing.
Yeah,
fucking
right?
arms dealing.
Let's fucking don't sell Mr. Yi short.
But the crazy thing to me about that is that like
She just casually.
yeah. The reason it was noteworthy to me is because people who are involved in political scenes, like local or otherwise, but probably especially local when the community is smaller than it is at a national level, like Leland Yi at an official level is higher up than Rose Pak, right? Like that's a
Yeah, I mean, he's a state senator. Yeah,
he's a state senator. Like that's
Yeah.
a significant
He goes to Sacramento
thing
and
to just
votes on
to just
everything that happens
Yeah.
to our state. Yeah.
to just like publicly say about another politician who lives in the same place you do, like that's significant. It's crazy to me that she would just come out and be like, "This guy."
Well, she has so much political capital. That she
I
doesn't give
know.
a shit.
I know.
That's
I'm
why
just-
it's kind of
She
great.
can
Right.
be
I mean,
on
that's
Yeah.
well for sure. I'm just saying, like that's significant, and I like it. But he never got. Nothing ever got pinned to him until now.
But it's, I mean, this
Not
case,
really.
it feels like they were probably building this case for 3 years.
must have.
Like, this is like some, like, straight up
Yeah.
the wire shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway, don't play video games, kids.
Yeah, they will fuck you up.
They'll make you just like him.
They'll make you just like me. I want to take this opportunity because I've always found local politics like absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Like I lived in LA for a long time, and like if you pay attention to local politics in Los Angeles and like how powerful the board of supervisors is there and how fucking insane most of them are, it's bonkers. It's really bonkers. So like, if you're looking for something to get into, just sort of like as an observer, I would point you towards maybe your local politics. Because a lot of shit that's happening there is going to affect your life in a real fucking concrete way. And like, when you drive from your house to your office and go back and maybe stop at lunch, some shit is going to happen that was voted on by some people in a room who are probably fucking idiots. Pay attention because every once in a while there's a Leland Yi, and every once in a while knowing about him, and when his name pops up on Twitter because he's going to jail, it is delicious. It is so worth it. It is like being into a weird sport, and then all of a sudden
Gets its moment in the sun.
It gets its moment in the sun.
Becomes
So-
an Olympic sport or something.
But also, it's really good to be into local politics because people don't pay attention to it, and crazy shit like this can happen.
yeah.
The end. That's my fucking soapbox
And that's
for this
also how
episode.
all, or most national politicians get